Hello there everyone and welcome back. It has been a while since I did a video series by myself there, although truth be told, in all honesty, I rather am feeling the itch for more cooperative type of play. But those type of videos, at least for the foreseeable future, are kind of, they're just delayed due to the fact that most of the ones, or at least my current playthroughs I'm doing, are not going to get published until the start of the new year, is what I'm understanding. But there are a few things in the work there, but in the meantime, there is still a lapse of videos while I am slowly trying to figure out my way on the tabletop 40k, which I haven't really had much matches lately. I did have one game, but that was a bit one-sided, and I don't think it would have been all enjoyable to at least demonstrate or talk about, because I kind of was metagamed against. My opponent basically brought in anti-fly weaponry simply because my tanks and a lot of my units, my jet bikes, were all fly type units, or at least they suffer against anything that has that caveat. So I was kind of metagamed. It felt like quite hard, and it was a one-size stomp as a result. But that's neither here nor there. That is a different time. We are going to jump into a game that's in early access that recently came out. I don't know how long in all honesty, but we are going to play Warpforged. I don't think there's like a main menu or something here we could just advertise the game for them. Alas, so I think we're just going to dive on into this little new our new little endeavor rather. And basically what this game is a card game. With the emphasis, well, yeah, there is a lot of little nuances in the background there, which I have yet to unlock, but it feels like it's a battle zone taking part, but you're basically playing cards against your enemy warlord. And of course, true to the other card games like Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone, you are trying to defeat the other opponent. The caveat is our warlord, our hero, our actual planeswalker, whatever you would use for the equivalent's sake, can actually fight and take part in said battles, but you take damage if you do that, is the bit of the risk. And I'm going to talk about I'm going to go into a tutorial match, or at least a basic match, just to show you what the gameplay is, before we talk about what at least my starting deck is going to be. And maybe later on in the series we could branch around a bit. I am going to be playing Eldari deck, so that's why I'm going to start with them, as it allows me to at least demonstrate some of the mechanics that they have to offer, and then I'll talk about the other factions as we go up against them. So like I said, it's a card game there. The interesting thing is we start with 2 energy, 2 mana, as opposed to 1, so it's arguable if I even want to keep this Guardian Defender here for that reason. But I don't really have anything that's a 2-drop or that it can play. No, I don't want another Wave Serpent.
Cleanse this place. We must protect the craft world.
So that's a little...
Courage and honor.
Alright, it's not so bad at least, because all of our heroes, like in Hearthstone, have their own little special ability. In the case of my Altark here, Midriel Galen, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, has the hero power that she can just summon Storm Guardians for 2 mana, which are normally just a 1 energy cost type of unit. It's not terrible. It's definitely not definitely not the most optimal, but considering we start with 2 mana, it does beg the question if I want a lot of... Hey, come on, I'm trying to talk this over. Either way. A 1-drop definitely would be better than a 2-drop, but it's a good way to round out my deck in case I don't get that initial 2-drop like I would want. Which, I think there are very few in the starter deck, to be fair. And our opponent is, of course, the Ultramarines, and are we actually fighting Marty's Calgar? So yeah, his hero power is just drawing a card. Pretty simple. Heck, we even get to see it there. And you may not have seen it, but our opponent also, because they went second, had a special ability, kind of like the coin in Hearthstone, where it helps as a balancing factor. In this case, for some reason, the AI chose to use their passive hero power for 1 mana, 1 energy instead of 2. Which I guess works considering the Infiltrate here costs 1. And Blind, I lose access to my range attacks, which you're probably noticing here we're having 2 different attack stats. One is for melee, one is for ranged. And range is definitely important because any flying creatures that we have, like this Wave Serpent, can only be shot at with ranged. Alright, let's speed this along. I'll talk about this more as we play on through. Actually, do I want... Yeah, actually, The reason why I want to do this is because the Shuriken trait, it's unique to Eldari, and it just does damage before the actual combat starts. So it's a great way to clean up targets, especially if they're already wounded, without risking my own troops in the process. So let's do that. And like I said, our own warlords can actually fight each other there, which, as you can imagine, can be a good or bad thing depending on your deck, your playstyle, and how things are going. This is the only card I can play, so I'm going to play a Striking Scorpion, which is basically stealth,
vigilant.
which is pretty self-explanatory, although it can be a little bit tricky to see what these icons are. It's not as convenient as Hearthstone, where it's kind of right in your face what the card does. You get a brief chance of seeing it. In this case, what is it? Our Inceptor there is kind of tricky to see as it's being deployed because it's only like half a second to actually know what its abilities are. In this case, it's our own. It's the first flying unit we actually saw, so we can't use melee attacks on unless we're already flying in flank. It's basically rush. It's basically charge. The only exception is you can't attack the warlord with this. So very aggressive, and in this case, it took out just my one weak fry or small fry. Now, we have 4 mana. I don't have anything ideal besides a stratagem or a spell for comparison's sake. All spells in this game are considered stratagems if you have abilities or traits that allow you to benefit off them. I know orcs at least have something like that. I think Ultramarines definitely have that if they play stratagems.
We must hurry.
And actually, the Necrons, I think, which is another deck faction you can play with, has probably a mechanic centered around playing stratagems quite a bit, but that's something for another time. What would I like to do? There's the Veteran Guardian I would like to have start with. A slightly more durable Guardian, basically what it is. Nothing too fancy to really talk about. And yeah, I guess I'm going to go with Devil Guardians here.
Will protect the craft well.
Since I don't really want to use my stratagem just yet, and I would like to kill you off. Sadly, I can't melee attack you, so I have to risk taking 4 damage here if I want to kill you effectively. Or I could sacrifice my Striking Scorpion, which I don't think is worth it for kind of tempo. Well, this is the weird little shenanigans I'm going to have to wrap my head around. I could attack the Warlord, kill off the Inceptor, but of course, as you can see, my Striking Scorpion is going to get killed off in the process. So this is something where I feel like very aggressive type of play can be not very strong in this type of deck. It feels like, at least with my time playing with the Eldari, which are a little more elite type units, despite how fragile they may look on with what you're seeing so far this game. But I think I'm going to take the hit there. I'm going to chance for more tempo and hope our opponent doesn't have like a board clear. Because yeah, our Striking Scorpion and Shuriken 2 basically can take out anything with 2 health for free and just leave itself as a thorn in their side. Something they have to deal with. Otherwise, I might not even finish this match if I'm honest. Because the whole point of this is just to demonstrate how the gameplay works before I dive into the multiplayer itself. So I'm just wondering what else there is to talk about. Oh yeah, this one little mechanic for Eldari, Spirit Stones, which is represented by the Waystone you see here. All the infantry basically drop these, and they actually can be destroyed, which you may have seen AI do. So I could collect these, or I could just leave them there, which there are multiple reasons why I want. Well, actually, there's currently only one reason why I want to leave them down there, I believe. But I could collect them during my turn. It goes to my secondary resource counter, and I can utilize that for benefits later on. Like our Wraithlord here, a big beefy bruiser. If I could collect 3 of them when I play this card, then it gets a nice little buff for the rest of the time it's down on the field. So it's kind of nice in that regard. And there are a lot of other cards like that too. Some are a lot more affordable, some are substantially effective. And there's even a card too that directly interacts with how effectively I can get Spear Stones too. Otherwise, I think I'll play 1 or 2 more turns there. Because yeah, even some units have like special talents as you see here, which are basically what you see with my Path of Command for my Warlord. Every turn that this is on the field, I get access to the talent, or at least an additional spell, and basically that allows me to deploy 2 Storm Guardians in this case. Superior upgrade compared to what my Warlord has to offer. It's just a question if the Wave Serpent itself is worth the cost to actually play it. But it is a very potent type of vehicle. It's a flyer, so only can be attacked from range attacks. And it's got a decent amount of durability. It's just pretty expensive for what it has to offer. I might argue at least, but I am talking a little bit too much. I think there's not much more to really demonstrate, outside the fact that I would like to get some of my 5 mana cost type of Spirit Seers and Warlocks ideally, if we even have them in this deck. Oh yeah, I just dropped my Striking Scorpion Exarch. The art there seems a little more prevalent to the 8th edition Altarch, so a little bit of updates that they could do. Sadly, this character doesn't look so much like an Striking Scorpion, alas. So I'm eager to see how things are more refined as things go on, because they are using a lot of the Games Workshop type of art, it seems apparent at the very least. I wonder if we can basically tell which one's more their art and which one is the Games Workshop art. I'm going to assume that they're all Games Workshop art to an extent, but there might be a few that's their thing, and I forget the developer's name off the top of my head. That's unfortunate, but either way, let's just kill off our Primarch, or not our Primaris Chaplain rather, because I could do 3 damage with both these guys and get it killed. It will sacrifice 2 of my characters, which is probably not really a good trade, honestly. But it gives me 2 Spirit Stones at least for my Wraith Lord, which I'll have access to in a couple turns if I have nothing else to play that uses it. So maybe this game will end a lot faster. I just gotta stop taking so long with my turns, I guess. Which is kind of a norm I'm gonna have to get used to. Tyrannic War Veteran. So basically what just happened there, based on number of opponents on the field, it gets +1 strength. So I'm trying to remember which Hearthstone equivalent that was there. I want to say Frostwolf Warlord, but I don't think that's true. I think it's how many troops you have on your side. Otherwise, we could kill you very easily because our Exarch here has Shuriken 4. Very durable, can survive the blows from the Warlord very well without anything else intervening. And Webway Gate, that is some fun stuff we could do. So let's just kill you off. Free kill. Good for gaining tempo, even though he's relatively safe for this turn, but could die by other means. So let's make use of these Spirit Stones, shall we? And I think the one thing I love about this card is it shows 3 cards that's in my deck. So if you have a really well refined or really well thought out deck, you pretty much know what's left in your deck, and you could try and fish for something that'll help you for certain situations like Avatar Arcane. Ooh, have a look at that. Nice fancy legendary card, which I don't have myself, unfortunately. But let's see. And it's going to cost 2 less. Ooh, it's going to cost 2 less because that's what the additional effect of the card I just played, the Webway Gate. So I will be able to play it next turn and have some real fun. Sorry, Wraith Lord, you're kind of on the back burner for a bit. Otherwise, let's play some more cards, add some little tempo. Hope they don't have some kind of board clear that makes things miserable. And all that good stuff. We'll see. But I think I know what my plan is for next turn. Okay. So we got another flanking, rushing type of interceptor here. And another mechanic we're witnessing here is Vanguard, which is basically taunt. That's really all that is. Nice simple 3-1 with taunt. Now, I would like to kill you off, but I think I'd rather just have the Warlord finish you. Is there an optimal way to kill you off? Because I know I'm going to play Avatar Arcane. I just would like if there's a situation where I can get both these targets without losing anything, but that's probably me being greedy. So we'll just kill you off Actually, I'm going to have to kill you off this way, aren't I? Because that's enough damage to kill you. Clear the board there, and I get my wish, actually. I will be vulnerable to counterattack and dying to the Warlord. But this is a good 8 damage, and it'll help even the odds quite a bit. Get an extra Spirit Stone. And, of course, let's not... Oh yeah, I could have played a Wind Rider, but I think we already knew what the plan is. That's my kind of rushing type of flanker as well. As you can see, it would have been pretty prevalent this turn, but we know what the play is. Let's enjoy it. Now, we got ourselves a 12, 6, 7. I don't know how the best way to describe these stat lines would be. I'm just going to call it 12, 7, because that's the reason why I deploy it. And it just gained Blast, which is 4 damage to anything adjacent to what I target. And that's what I got for the 2 Spirit Stones. And I got myself a talent which buffs all my allies. Good way to kind of help finish off my opponent there. Especially if I have more Spirit Stones to just ridiculously buff up my units. I wonder, does that work on my Warlord as well? Yeah, even to my units. And it doesn't even say for a turn. I think that just lasts indefinitely. So I think that would be amazing for my Warlord. Oh yeah, I kind of was wondering if there was a removal. Well, you're no fun. At least we have a backup plan now. Yep, and they're just going to draw a card. So I think we're good. Sadly, I'm not going to have 3 Spirit Stones. But I am going to get the Wraith Lord at base strength. So a 7-8. Not as imposing as Avatar of Cain, mind you, but considering they just burnt the removal, I think this is a good opportunity. This is probably the best use we could get out of said Wraith Lord. And we have a nice Blade Guard veteran. That's Vanguard. And just got buffed up there, I believe. Yeah, forward deploy. Which gave it flank, but it was too afraid to actually attack me because the AI knew it would die. But here's a trait that's unique to the Ultramarines. If they use up all their energy, all their units' Codex effect will trigger. In this case, the veteran will heal itself. But I don't think we're going to let it have that chance. I'm just wondering, can I kill this thing off without having a Wraith Lord attack? Because I'm thinking of using the Blade Storm here. We have our riders here. That's going to be 5 damage. Okay, I think we can do it.
I bring swift demise.
So, Blade Storm's going to add Shuriken +2 to everyone, including my Wind Riders, which already has Shuriken 2. So that's 5 damage there. And then I can easily do 2 more damage with my Warlord on this thing. And it's going to survive. Even better insult to injury. There. Now finish him off. I think we're near an end here. Now, what would I like to get? Cheaper Wave Serpent could be good. Since I haven't really been looking at them all that much. But I could also get a Striking Scorpion to potentially end it off now. Because that's going to be 1 mana. I could play it. It'll be stealthed. And it can help respond to whatever my AI opponent's going to do.
The shadows are always vigilant.
Especially since I already got 2 of those cards there, Falcon and the Wave Serpent. So there's not much reason to get a second one cheaper, right? Otherwise, let's punch it. And as you probably noticed, there's different animations based on what type of attack I want to do. Because if the Wraith Lord did a range attack instead, it would just be heavy Shuriken Cannon fire. Sadly not a Bright Lance, but some of these units do have big, massive Bright Lance fire to obliterate a target. Hi, Sicarius. He's just a big, invulnerable target, basically. Yeah, he has invulnerable, and he buffs up allied troops there, as well as heals. But this game's already over. Nothing else to really say, so let's finish this off and go into a much more serious type of match, shall we? And of course, talk about what deck I'm going to be feeling here. Since I sadly don't have these cards, or at least not all the cards, I especially don't have the Avatar of Cain, alas, as much as I would like to get, but I could hopefully get some over time, since the campaign, at least it's very easy to get access to the other decks, because I believe unlocking the 4th company for Ultramarines only cost me 100 of these reward points. If I remember correctly, yeah, I currently have 100, so I'm assuming that's the case. So it's not as difficult as I initially thought to dip my toe into all the other factions to kind of figure out what I would like most with them. Because I think Orcs could be a lot of fun, because Orc Nonsense, they literally have a Grot Missile, a 1-mana missile that does 3 damage to a random target, but the animation is kind of fun because you hear the Grot screaming to his impending doom, and of course he goes silent for a brief second when he flies off the camera, and then he comes back down and obliterates whatever he hits. Orcs can still be kind of fun. They have a ridiculous type of 10 mana card too, I think, that just fills the board with nothing but random orcs. To give you an example of what nonsense they could do. And I talked briefly about the Necrons. They're about reanimating themselves, among other things. Chaos, I think, are all about buffing themselves, but they got some ridiculous type of characters like, I am terrified of Harkin here, who's, I guess, your starting warlord, you get? because he's got his hero power essentially gives him AoE blast to his melee attack, which can be terrifying considering how you saw how fragile my Eldari were. And Tyranids are unique because not only do they want to be a horde type faction, but I think, well, in this case, our Turvagon just spawns Turvagons into the hand, I believe. And the reason why getting them in the hand might be useful is because you could keep playing Turvagons, and if they're next to each other, their stats and the two cards, the two units will actually fuse with each other, doubling, tripling, etc. of their health into a single unit, as opposed to being vulnerable to normal AoE that horde type decks, swarm decks are prone to suffer. It's going to be interesting how that changes up that dynamic a little bit, if something like that has already existed in Magic the Gathering at the very least. And I'll have to dip my toe into draft at some point too, which I'm assuming is how we expected already. But before we dive into the actual multiplayer for a game or two, let's talk about what my deck's going to be that I'm going to be starting off with, at least with what I have access to. Of course, this is my only Warlord I have here, spawning Storm Guardians to help provide a little bit of pressure, and give me some Spirit Stones for buffing up my other cards, which sadly we only saw the Avatar and the Wraith Lord for their Spirit Stone effects, but there are a lot more accessible ones compared to those two. So I even have two regular ones, because sadly, I don't have the Guardian Defenders yet, which are the same type of card, but a little bit better because they have Shuriken too. They just reverse their range and melee attacks, is the difference there. I have a single Deadly Ambush, which is a good utility type card for preventing a target from attacking, or if for late game maybe, allowing one of my more impactful units the ability to attack immediately. So that could be pretty good. Two Veteran Guardians, because we already saw that, nothing to talk about there, but here's a new card, a Warlock, which is really good for buffing up my stats with a Spirit Stone. So ideally I get a Spirit Stone after my first Guardian possibly dies on the first turn, and then I have access to this. Well, really, this is not really a good card early game if I'm completely honest, but that would be the example, because it would buff himself as well, and that would make it so he can at least survive against the enemy Warlord attack, at least normally. Then we have two of the Webway Gates. I'm lucky enough to draw these for my pack, so I'm really excited for these, because again, this can be a lot more useful than some of the quote-unquote discover cards where you just randomly spawn or given 3 choices. In this case, it looks through my deck and I can choose to draw a troop from my deck that I currently haven't drawn, which can be really useful for a well-refined, well-thought-out deck, because I know what's left in there essentially. So it's a great way to filter out and find solutions to problems. Banshee's Mask, nice solid spell. A little bit weird in the fact that it does 2 things at once. I think personal bias might be more impactful focusing on one thing or another, but it's very versatile and very good for what it does in my experience regardless. Got only a single Striking Scorpion because this is epic level, so I have yet to unlock a second one. And let's see, Swooping Hawk we have yet to see, but it's our cheapest type of flying unit. Good range, and it's durable enough to at least survive against the Warlords, so it's good for putting pressure on the board and force them to at least burn a card to get rid of it. Now, here's our new card that I'm hoping to use quite well with a Spirit Stone, is our Wraithblade here. No attack range, so it can be hit or miss because anything with a range attack is just going to chip this down for free, but it's great at protecting my other units, and if I have a Spirit Stone, it'll reduce damage by 2, so at most, a lot of the times it'll just be doing a single point damage, so it will survive at least 2 turns, depending on how effectively I am to control the board. So it can be very impactful second turn, but normally, second turn it just, it's kind of unsupported, doesn't really do a whole lot. It's good for drawing fire, and it at least will survive long enough to at least do attack, at least one attack on a card or a Warlord, but it doesn't do much else on its own unless I have something else there. Otherwise, what are we? We got Bladestone, we already saw that. 2 Eldritch Storms, this is a nice potent AoE effect. Very unreliable until you use the Spirit Stone effect. then this thing might be worth its weight in clearing the board, at least cleaning out a bunch of targets, and it does damage to the Warlord as well. So this can be very powerful, but without the Spirit Stones, this I find hard to really justify using because it's pretty costly for only possibly doing 1 damage to a target. It has to be very valuable and already wounded to justify that. But once you can get that to trigger twice, that's a big deal, it feels like. And good old Howling Banshees, here's a big deal. This is a nice solid card that I love immensely already. It's a flanking card that can also stun, including the Warlord, keep that in mind. So if this could kill a target without having... Yeah, if it could kill a target by itself and still survive, I could just stun the Warlord and this Banshee is normally going to survive until next turn to just punch the Warlord in the face. Kill itself in the process, but that's neither here nor there, right? The Eldari are not afraid to fight for the survival of their race. And now moving on to the 5-cost cards, nice solid 2 minion type creature. We have the Spirit Seer, which flat 5/5, pretty good for its cost alone, but with 2 Spirit Stones, it does summon another taunt creature. Sadly, I don't get the means, it won't get upgraded, it's the only caveat there because it's a summoned minion as opposed to the one being played from my hand. But it's a good taunt creature and it helps protect everything else. It'll at least draw maybe 2 attacks unless there's a big target on the field already. So it's useful in that regard. I don't expect it to do a lot of its own, it's just maybe making sure the Spirit Seer or anything else on the board doesn't really die very easily. Then we have the Exarch, the only legendary I have in the deck so far, since I did buy or pay for the premium to get access to the campaign, and I got access to a legendary card as a result of that. But ideally, Avatar Arcane probably be the next legendary I probably would get, because that seems like a very good card, so long as I'm mindful of what my opponent has to offer. So you already seen what it could do, 8 damage per attack, and very likely to kill something without taking damage itself. It's a very sticky card, and it starts with stealth. Just the art is really misleading. It looks like it's more of an Altark than actual Striking Scorpion the last. Now, Warlock Skyrunner, this is something unique, and the only one from what I've seen that does something when you actually collect Spirit Stones. Well, that's not entirely true. There's a legendary card that gives you more Spirit Stones if you pick them up. So I only have one of them in the deck because this could be a little bit tricky to utilize because it only works when you're picking up Spirit Stones, so you can't really control a lot of the times how often that's going to happen to at least get multiple stones. So realistically, you're only going to get maybe a single one unless you're going to jump a bunch of targets onto something big to get killed off. And even then, it might not be worth it in that regard. But it's a nice 5/5, 5/3/5 there, so it's pretty good in that regard still for 5 cost. Especially if I can get some Spirit Stones to benefit off it. Now, this is more of a specialist type pick that I put into the deck. Crimson Hunters, 5/6 flyers that immediately ping 3 damage to a target, including the Warlord if I wish. But really, this is more to deal with flying targets if I'm so lucky, although it's going to come to experience and just playing the game more to really understand if this is going to be relevant enough rather, to justify having in the deck. It seems like a solid card otherwise because a lot of targets won't be able to take advantage of the fact that it has no melee. So they have no choice but to deal with the 5 range attack if they want to damage it. So it seems good at face value. And then, because I have a lot of cheap cards, my deck is more focused around cheaper cards as opposed to expensive cards, alas. So I have Reclaim the Stars, but I don't know how likely it is I'm going to get this ridiculous effect with 5 Spirit Stones. It could be a great way to end off a match though, if I could pull it off, but I think this is more just to rebuild my hand, since again, I have a lot of cheaper cards, so this is to protect me in case I run out of steam. And I only have a single one there. I don't know if I want a second one, even if it is an epic. And then to round things out, I do have a single Wraith Floor, which I probably would change this out for an Avatar Arcane if I can afford it. I don't think I want the Wraith Knight there, which is a nice big beefy boy. But 10 costs, the game kind of tries to encourage to speed things up, or tries to force an end after 10 turns, or after you reach 10 energy rather, because then you're drawing double cards. And things tend to get ridiculously out of control at 10 mana with some of these abilities I've been seeing, so it's best to have ourselves set for victory before then, is what I'm learning rapidly. But regardless, that is a long-winded description, display of what this game is about. We'll try a little bit of multiplayer matches and have ourselves some fun. I did play a few already, and I had some good success with some variation, but it's not the current version of the deck. I think it was more the base deck I got access to with a very few tweaks, but I haven't played it since I added and made a bunch of changes to the deck itself that you just saw. So we'll see how we do. Alright, we're face off against Tyrants right away there, so we're not going to do too much monologuing, but we got a decent starting hand here at least. With a little bit of options, ooh, even better with the Howling Banshee, so as good as a starting hand as I could get, and I go second. Which we'll get to see with my balancing ability I get to help offset the fact I'm going second.
We must protect the craft world.
Basically, all it does is discover a card into my hand. It's just random. It's not based on my deck. Ooh, 2-mana flying. Oh boy. So, alright, in Blast 2, strike, destroy this troop. Oh, so it kills itself. Alright, so that is fine. Ooh. I already got this 3-mana card, so let's try the Vengeful Wraithblade, which is just an upgrade version. Now, that's going to kill itself. Good. It seems like my opponent's a bit of a rusher, so we'll force him to attack this.
We will protect the craft world.
Yes, because sadly I'm not going to be able to kill that thing. But at least he might be forced to use the Spore to attack my Guardian as opposed to me. That's the hope at least, because it seems like I'm from initial. Oh, it does blast. Okay. I forgot that caveat, but at least it's absorbed a little bit of the damage, so that's fine. So it is going to be a bit rough. I could kill the spores. Let's see, I could kill you off there. I thankfully got. Yeah, because I don't have a Spear Stone, so having you available could be useful to kill off our Exocrine. Or not Exocrine, but Biophore.
Always vigilant.
But alright, we're a bit to an awkward start here. I'm going to take a little bit more damage, but I can finish this off easily if he strikes with it. And even then, I can kill it very easily with the Striking Scorpion. So whether he attacks with it or not doesn't really matter. Although he got 2 of them already. So thankfully I have the Howling Banshee to try and get tempo back in. Alright. So I could kill you easily enough. I could Howling Banshee. So this is definitely awkward, but I can without a doubt kill one of them and still be alive. Now, how do we want to gauge this? Because I could definitely kill the other one. I'm just going to have to leave myself vulnerable to a bunch of explosions. That is the only scary thing. Because you had... So we're going to kill you off there. I think it's a plan. I'm leaving myself vulnerable to 2 explosions. Which I don't like, but if either of them survives, that'd be pretty good. Okay, the Banshee survives and can't take any damage. Or at least the Banshee will survive next turn, possibly. So it's a good tempo swing here, it's looking like it. Okay, Stealth Critter. I can negate that to an extent. So just buff it itself. So I can easily negate this with my Vanguard. Is it worth... Well, I should have decided... yeah, this is a big question. Flank? Yeah, I can't use the flank here, so... You're at least going to survive in this regard, and I can attack. So, I can attack you. Perfect. And I'm going to keep the Webblade Gate handy, so let's build up. My opponent is trying to play aggressive, so I think I want to preserve my health, just in case. As much as I would like to keep punching, we are still pretty close to health, but... Sword throw. Okay, so triggers synapse. So synapse is if a spell's put on it, so that's what's gonna happen here. That is unfortunate. But I did tank the hit at least, so I'm not too upset. Now, how do we want to do this? Because we got some options. I'm definitely going to want to kill the Farm Ryan Leaper here with the Hunter, which I can't do. It'll take up all my resources, alas.
We are the raging winds.
Is that what I want to do? Well, I don't have Spirit Stones for really anything else. So, I probably should kill it. And then sadly I can only do 3 and 5 there, not enough to kill it. So maybe that might have been a mistake, but I don't really see a whole lot of alternatives. Could have used the Vengeful Rape Blade, but especially if I suicide the Guardian, that probably was a mistake there. To an extent. Yeah, let's just try and prime this for death. Because, yeah, what I should have done was let this die first and then pick up the Spear Stone. But that would just be more of a stall tactic, and it wouldn't have... Actually, yeah, I would have still been able to kill the Farm Ryan Leaper. But I don't think it would have helped me. Okay, so just buff it up. Trying to rush me down quite a bit. Huh, interesting. Oh, that's the spell effect, that's what it was. And trying to spell me down quite heavily. So I do thankfully have the Rape Blade to help tremendously here. Is that what the right play, though? Because I could stun the Banshee and do 3 damage to it, but... He burnt a lot of his cards doing that. Actually, I could kill it. Because it will have flank. I keep forgetting that little caveat.
This cannot be done.
Oh, it's stealth unit. That was a mistake. That is unfortunate. So this is going... He's going super rush. I can survive to an extent with the armor. And he has 3 cards left. He burnt a lot of cards there. Will I be able to bend? Yeah, so this is going to get annoying. Because, yeah, it just keeps buffing. But he is almost out of resources. Deploy Spore Mine. Now, this is a bit of a risk, because I would love to just kill off a bunch of this stuff, but very unlikely I'll do the damage I want. But he did play everything, almost everything, I think. There's a good chance one of the Spore Mines die, at least. Okay, so it killed one. Bunch of damage on everything else.
This cannot be done.
Oh, it's Devil Stealth. Okay, so that's the gimmick he's trying to play. Alright. And sadly, I don't have a Spear Stone there to utilize to my advantage. Yeah, I think I used the... get this... Yeah, I think I get a flyer to help with this. This is not looking good for me, though. Because, yeah, you're going to die relatively easily there. And I'm going to take a bunch of damage to the face. So this might be game there. Oh yeah, okay, there's the merging together. So Spear Leech again, trying to do damage to finish me off. So this sadly is too late there. If I had another Spirit Stone, I could have a taunt up and available for the Von Ryan Leaper, but I think this is sadly over. And now I'm just getting taunted for it, huh? Yeah, if I had one extra Spear Stone, that'd be kind of nice there. But alas, we almost held on there. What probably happened there is could have been a little more open-minded with how I use my Spear Stones. I knew it was kind of a rushdown type of deck, at the very least. So my instinct there was correct from this first turn. I just wasn't able to... Well, really, if I had the Spear Stones for that AoE Eldritch Storm, that could have been good. A little unfortunate. I'm just wondering what decisions I could have made, because really, I think just mixing up a little bit with how I use my Spear Stones could have turned that around slightly. And of course, being a card game, what card was I technically missing that could have helped me a lot there? Because yes, they were using a lot of stealth, so my Banshee Mask wasn't doing much. Alas. Yeah, playing the Vanguard, the Wraithblade, and not getting the attack in probably was a big deal as well, sadly. That might have been the biggest misplace, not considering the stealth, because again, it doesn't make it all that obvious to... Because I wasn't really noticing the stealth effect, because it's very subtle, alas. So maybe that was the biggest misplay there. If I had tried something else, that might have helped dramatically. Maybe. Hard to say. Alright, this time we're face off against orcs. Gonna replace those. As much as I like the mask, that's better late game. Okay, so not ideal. I would like a proper 3-drop card.
Cleanse this place. We must protect the craft.
And I'm
world.
going second as well. Which, you're gonna be annoying because, yeah, you can buff yourself up and just do 3 damage. Which basically negates what my guy does here. So is there even a point to use my veteran here? It forces him to, if he doesn't play a card, it forces him to at least do something about it, and I can get a Spear Stone off it.
The craft world.
Just sadly. Let's see. Ooh, okay, this is a good way to help. Which one would I want? He's getting aggressive, so I probably want the Wraithblade. Especially since it buffs up his melee and not his range attack, so that helps a bit too in that regard. It's just, again, should I have just gotten a regular 2 health minion and saved this card? That's the one thing I'll have to consider, but at least it drew his ire. And now I can use the Wraithblade to get tempo and control. And it is definitely going to survive outside of anything he might play. So it's got 2 armor, so even his buff is not going to do any damage to it. Which means he's probably not going to use it with that said, but that's fine.
Moving. I just want to hit your head.
Alright. Now I have 4 mana. Sadly, not much I can do with this. I'm tempted to try and stem his aggro to get as much value as I can with the Wraithblade. I don't like it though, because he's only going to possibly do 2 damage, but I can hit him a bunch. I don't really like this, because technically this is just 1 card he played. The mob rule allows him to play again up to a certain number of times.
We must hurry.
I don't like it. Not one bit. But we have tempo still until he plays something that does damage.
Once all gets going, there ain't no stopping.
Alright. So he's just playing single cards there. So I'm not going to be able to kill both of them off like I want. Yeah, I'm playing slightly inefficiently too, so...
You tread an accursed path.
And sadly I can't even kill him either, that's a bit of the problem because they're flyers. So he's another rusher. Which... leaves little that I could do there. So let's just mitigate the damage best we can that we're about to take. So yeah, this is a nice aggro deck here because it allows them to play multiple cards with that Tide. Not Mob, but Tide was what I was thinking.
Oh, maybe a skill a mistake.
Alright, so he's buffing up there. So, we could do something about this thumb. If only slightly. Now let's see. And we have Blade Storm. So this will help a little. So now, our XR can take out the big boy. With no damage. And then, what can I do there otherwise? I could kill one of them off. There we go. Light damage. The Orc Boy is still there, but... hopefully we can start benefiting off this. There's a good chance I'll have 2 Spirit Stones for next turn, which can be useful here. This starts stemming his aggression, but the only problem is I'm just controlling his play, not really doing much damage to him is the problem, because he just hit me really hard there last turn. And he could do it again.
Oh, maybe a skill a mistake.
Alright. What is he gonna do? Okay, just attack the bodies, which is fine. Now this could be an opportunity for the Skyrunner.
You can outfront me.
Alright, unfortunately, not gonna get what I want. So there's a... sadly, this may not go as well with like. Yeah, because it hit the one target I didn't want. And then we'll just... actually... yeah, let's just kill him off. Entirely. Although, we need some big cards, really. Especially big cards with taunt, which sadly I don't really have big cards with taunt. So I think we're already on the losing end of this engagement as a result of that. Yep, because you got just flank, so you're just gonna rush.
Stop moving. I want to hit your head.
Although if you're gonna attack him with the... if you're just gonna attack the Skybike, then you can't do anything with that. So sadly I do not have Eldritch Storm, which would kind of be nice. And it can buff people up, but that does not help a whole lot. Because I'm just controlling the board. So there's nothing I could do about him, and playing the Wraith Lord does not help much. So I think I'm in a lot of trouble with that said.
Hurry.
Because I don't have the Spirit Stones for this.
Spirits, heed my words and rise.
Yeah, we'll try and weaken this guy off, but I'm close to dead right now. That's 10 damage to my face and a buff will kill me off. So this is a rough start to this series, I guess. Now the big issue is figuring out what's going wrong there. Your troops cost 2 less this turn, so he's gonna bring in a horde, is he? Bunch of flankers. Alright. So they can't attack my warlords, thankfully, but unless I get a really powerful Eldritch Storm, that doesn't really help me, and that just keeps me in the battle for another turn, basically. Alright. So let's see what we can grab here. So you're gonna cost 2. You'll be able to stun and flank. No, that's not what I want. It only keeps me alive for like a turn is a bit of the problem. And it probably doesn't help that much. In all honesty. Bit of the problem. And yeah, he does have like, I don't know if that's his special ability or just an extra card. Okay, so he has 2 cards in his ability. Which sadly I won't, unless I can get something with taunt, doesn't really do me much favors. So this looks like it might be over there. But I do get to draw 2 cards at least. And we do have, thankfully, some flyers which we can one-shot. But I think this is over. Unless I get an amazing Eldritch Storm, but even then 3 damage is not going to be enough. I'm dead. There's pretty much nothing I could do in this regard. You're a little bit late to the party. My Crimson Hunter would have been amazing, but unfortunately, yeah, just late to the party. Could have made a big difference just being able to snipe a flyer pretty well. 6-cost flyer at that, too. So it would have traded for itself despite the fact that it would have took an extra... It would probably would have died immediately with the follow-up one that he played. The trick is knowing what to expect. The warlord they pick in more competitive scenes will probably give away what type of unit they're using or army they're using, but yeah, I gotta be familiar with their cards too is the problem. So 2 losses, alas. What the first one with Tyranids, I feel like just better decisions could have slowly started swinging around. It might still have been a loss, but that one there, unfortunately, didn't get my Crimson Hunter and didn't even get an Eldritch Storm, which I don't honestly think would have been enough if I'm serious. Alright, one more time there. Now, I'm kind of tempted to keep the Crimson Hunter, if I'm completely honest. But, yeah, let's keep it there, because I at least got 3 and 4-cost card. Now, I don't know if this is the same fellas before or not. I never even bothered paying attention to their name.
Death from above!
But yeah, I'm just gonna assume maybe there'll be flyers to contend with. So having it on hand early might be useful.
Who wants to take me chopper first?
Okay, so only play we have available. It will at least draw some attacks. Blast 3 is... How likely do I expect to benefit from Spirit Stones? Well, I already got a 6-cost card, to be honest. I just don't know if a flyer is going to be appearing. If I am honest. Alright. So far, going secondary is not helping me quite a bit for at least tempo base. I can at least got the Howling Banshee to serve as a great way to kind of counteract that to an extent. Okay, so negate the damage there. At least we killed the boy. And I'll get my taunt. Because it's the only option I have available to me. I don't have my Swooping Hawks or Striking Scorpion, alas. And it'll help deflect some of the attacks, because even if he buffs up the damage, because he can't use his special ability there. So he's limited on his choices. How aggressive do I want to be? Because I feel like that boy is just a generic safe play, so I don't think I can get a read off that yet for what kind of playstyle he wants. So it's only going to do 1 damage if it hits the Wraith Lord. I'll take it. He already got 1 card trade out of it. It might be my opponent doesn't understand how armor works. I think he could kill it off. But I can stun him now. But is that really the right play to play Howling Banshee? Sadly, I don't have really any other 4-drop plays, which is kind of sucky. But it will stay alive. Yeah, because I don't want to play another Wraith Blade yet. Because there's not really a point to it. And it's just funny. My Howling Banshee would have been amazing for countering a 4-turn play, but he didn't actually play anything. But, well, he did play something, so technically I do have tempo because of that. Yeah, he actually didn't really play any card, because that Grot Bomb was just 1 man. He didn't play anything else, did he? Nope, he had nothing that turn, so I guess I can't feel too bad. 3 damage randomly. Alright, so that's pretty good. Now, how do we want to do this? Because now I'm in an awkward position where I do have the Howling Banshee to kill this off. And both of them will actually survive. It's just off mana, which really is annoying. It feels like the worst play possible. The worst thing possible. But at least they'll both survive. Alright, so he's stunned. So I'll be able to do a bunch of damage to him and get 2 Spirit Stones off it. But again, if I play a Spirit Seer, that's still 1 turn off. But I am ready for any big flyers or even big threats. Potentially. Because that's what rally basically means. It doesn't affect as soon as I play it. So the good news, I only have to trade 1 card, and then, well, if I attack face, that defeats the purpose. So, is there a way? Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's a better way I could do it, because I can easily trade both of them in for the kill, but is it more worth it? No, it's not, because if my Warlord attacked, that doesn't help me, honestly. So let's just kill it off. Because I get 2 Spirit Stones for decent tempo. And I could play my Wraith Spirit Seer.
Spirits, heed my word.
Again, out off tempo, which is annoying. Because I didn't I could have played the Crimson Hunter, but it would have been suboptimal here. But I got good board control now. A big 5/5 and something to at least avoid it getting killed off directly from Vanguard. Or at least deploy 3 Grots. Annoying little stall card. Gonna try and attack our boy here. It's alive at least, so we can kill 1 of the Grots. Especially if I use Blade Storm to help with that. Is it worth it? It's a card for a card. How much mana is the Gretchen Mob? 3. So it is a downgrade. I'm just wondering what other plays I want to do. Because y'all have the Wraith Blade there, no Spirit Stones. It's arguably not worth it, because again, I have a taunt available. So let's just attack. Oh yeah, they're taunt, so I can't really do anything about them. That's not true. it's a terrible use. But it'll give me good tempo and I can hit face.
We are the raging winds.
Was that the right choice? Probably not. But I get to hit face for 5, which now for once puts me in the lead. With good tempo, unless he has a good spell to kind of clear board. Which I don't know which faction has a pure board wipe. And even that board wipe would take his entire turn almost. Which leaves them limited.
Stuck inside this thing, and that makes me mad.
Poor Death Dread. Okay, so mob that effect kicked in. He was hoping to kill the Spirit Seer. It did not happen. So I like this opportunity. This is a good window for Bladestorm. Good window indeed for Bladestorm. I think we're about to make his time miserable. Because not only will it survive, it'll kill the Death Dread. There. And then we'll taunt to keep you from hitting it and punch you in the face for a whole crap ton of damage. And they just gave up. Well, at least we ended up on a high note. It felt a little rough there, but I feel those weren't terrible matches. It's just unfortunate draws, maybe. Well, again, I honestly think that second match, if I got the Crimson Hunter sooner, that might have been good. But it did give me a massive momentum swing this game, so keeping it in my hand actually was the right choice. But that's something I'm going to have to understand to make better judgment decisions, is know what kind of deck to expect. Because I can kind of get a sense of what they might go for just based on their Warlord. But at this point, when it's literally, I think, yeah, this is another thing that will help them influence this decision. Let me look at the campaign. What kind of deck would the Orcs get? Oh yeah, they would have got the Green Tide deck, which would not have been him. That would have been a good indication. The fact that they didn't have the Star Warlord. But still, we ended off on a win. And I'm hoping to maybe play a little bit more refined Eldari deck some. And I'm going to try and unlock some of these other decks as well. Or at least starter decks to see what the playstyle is like for other factions. So look forward to that. Thank you everyone for watching. I will see you next time.